conservation societies. Can't live with them, can't live without them. Well, actually, you probably could live without them, but you wouldn't really have much of a sense of history of your own country anymore, would you, if you didn't? The National Trust is one of several similar organisations throughout the UK, and I've recently joined up with them. They basically, for those that don't know what a conservation society is, they basically go around protecting old historic buildings, historic sites, and so on and so forth. Things like castles, stately homes, mills, churches that have been abandoned by the Church of England or other religious groups, and so on and so forth. Basically anything historical that ties us to our past, that gives us some sense of what's happened, good or bad. These are one of the organisations that Britain has. The English Heritage Group is another, the Scottish Heritage Group is another, I think there's a Welsh version as well. And there's various other groups. I can't recall all of them. I've already got membership with English Heritage. It's actually quite a decent membership package in its own right. And I've recently joined up with the National Trust. And on the day that I signed up, the main difference between English Heritage and the National Trust is when I signed up with the National Trust, they gave me this package of goods to begin with straight away. A few different pieces to do with the place I actually signed up at, which was Cragside, which is local to myself, more or less. Several leaflets for different areas, again locally to me. So we've got the lakes and the Lake Districts, we've got Yorkshire, which is not too far from me, we've got the Northwest, which is opposite of where I am, the Northeast, which is where I actually am, the Thorn Islands, which again isn't too far from where I live, Cragside, which again is quite close by. This little bizarre blue thing here, which is just introducing my National Trust, which just gives you some information about your online membership, and a little funky map regarding Cragside itself. And this is not a scale or anything in any particular regard, it just gives you a good idea of some of the walking routes that you can get around the various different sites that they have. And the actual Cragside site itself, as you would see if I open this up, is absolutely bloody massive. Can I zoom out any further? No, I can't, but yeah, that doesn't give you any kind of real scale of the place. It doesn't give you anything like this kind of distance here, and here is how many hundreds of metres, anything like that, but it does give you a very good idea of just how large the overall site is. So you've got your main entrance around here, main car parks, little shop where you can get some food, souvenirs and toilets and a bit more information there. The main house, Cragside House itself, built by Lord Armstrong, who was one of the North's premier inventors and engineers and so on and so forth. And this place is just a tribute essentially to him at this point. I mean, he owned the land, he built a lot of the mechanical parts himself that go around it. Lots of hydroelectric based technology here from his day, which still works as far as I'm aware. It works quite nicely, but it's just a fantastic day out in its own right, especially when you've got good weather, which, as anybody who lives in England knows, is a rare thing. Anyway, we'll just put that to one side. There's the map of special places, which basically goes into a great deal of detail over pretty much the whole of this island that I live on, and several million other people do. You may or may not be British yourself. You may be considering coming over for a visit, but this just gives you some idea of the various different places that the National Trust looks after. So, as the blurb here says, they have around 250,000 hectares of lands, 775 miles of coast, over 300 houses and gardens, 41 castles, 39 pubs, 25 medieval barns, and 9 lighthouses. So quite an eclectic collection in that regard. I think arguably English Heritage might have more in the way of castles, but that's beside the point. Between the two of them, they do a very good job of looking after a lot of the history of this country. The National Trust basically looks after a lot more to do with England, Wales and bits of Scotland, as well as certain areas like the Isle of Man as well, by the looks of it, right over here. The Isle of Man being where Henry Cavill comes from, Superman, yeah, okay. He's not actually English, he's not Scottish, he is British, but he's not English or Scottish or Welsh. He comes from the Isle of Man. look at that up sometime, because you might actually be pleasantly surprised at just what a diverse location that might be, or actually is. But yeah, they do a very good job of looking after all of these different areas quite well. English Heritage more specifically looks at England itself, but the National Trust does have some areas that it looks after in Scotland, and the Scottish Trust, the Scottish National Group, they look obviously after Scotland specifically. And again, I think there is basically some similar groups in Wales as well, and then you've got basically similar ideas here. Similar leaflets, just giving you locations and whatnot in various different subsections of the country, the northeast, the northwest, and so on. And they basically will give you sort of similar little bits like this. And I'm really wishing I'd put it in the wide-angled lens to help you get a better look at all of this. But saying la vie, I shall have to make do with the lens I did select. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You don't need to look at all of these. You can easily pick them up or even find stuff on the National Trust's own website. So let's open up this little package. This is not something that I got at all on the day when I signed up with English Heritage. You've got this snazzy little brown box to hold things in. A bit like a loot crate, only the stuff in it is actually of some value. It's this wraparound picture which basically has two kids in a field, two kids climbing up a wall instead of sending their parents up the wall like a lot of little kids do. And then it's some scene on a beach which I can't possibly identify because there's so many beaches. That'd be impossible. No, actually, hang on, that's a kid and a dog jumping. Oh, I must be going blind. And then some kid out, presumably with his grandparents. If they're not, they're in trouble. And so the English Heritage for a white background. Is this whitewashing? No, it's just they're not being asked to actually provide anything else beyond that. We've got this little book here. Tell you what, let's just get rid of these so that we're not mistaken for something that came in this box. We've got this little book here. Find a place that'll put a smile on your face. And then two kids stuck in a maze. I've got to get to that centre bit there so that they can get some water and some food before they die of starvation and thirst. That's just a little introduction. Welcome to the National Trust, getting sorted, getting planning, get going, get in touch, and so on. It's just basically a little, you know, a little something like that. I haven't received my actual membership card as yet, for the time being, when I do actually want to get into National Trust places and prove that I am a fully paid up member. I just have to waive the receipt that I've got, which is not something I'm going to actually show you because I'm going to keep that private for the time being. Well, actually, it's in my wallet, I just can't be bothered to get it out. Okay, so we have all of this interesting looking pictures and so on and so forth, telephone numbers, how to write to them if you want to write via snail mail, email address and so on. Access for all, but they do provide as much accessibility as they can for people who aren't as able-bodied as the rest of us. That's saying something given how bad a back I've got at the moment. But that's beside the point. Ooh, what do we have here? A colour-coded sequence of all the different regions of England and Wales as well as bits of, well, actually the entirety of the Northern Ireland. We've also got, free parking at special places. So if I display that badge in my car, I can get free parking at special places. To validate your parking, please make sure you have your membership card with you, even when visiting places that are free to enter. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I'll make a note of keeping that quite safe. So this is basically their guidebook, their handbook to all the different places that you might potentially want to go. I'm just going to turn a few pages at a time. We've got places like Boswell, which is somewhere in, or Bosville, maybe? Yeah, is that it? Is that how you pronounce it? Bosville, which is in Cornwall. We've got Bottalack, I assume that's how you pronounce it. I'm probably mutilating that, which is again in Cornwall. There's Cape Cornwall, which, as you may guess, is in Cornwall. And so on and so forth. So this is basically just a little guidebook giving you some information, what kind of accessibility they have by all the different symbols, the address details, what it actually is. So in this case, Winchester City Mill in Winchester on Bridge Street in Hampshire. This restored working water mill has stood at the heart of the city of Winchester for a millennium, and is probably the oldest working water mill in the UK. As the official gateway to the South Downs National Park, City Mill provides information for visitors wishing to explore local walks and attractions. Note, the nearest toilet is 220 yards, not National Trust. That's interesting to note. That gives you basically a great little picture to start with, telling you where everything is. You're probably not going to be able to make that out too well on your windows there. That's Kent, Surrey and Sussex. For some reason I've decided to write it in white, which against a blue background like the sky isn't necessarily the easiest thing in the world to see. Is that Churchill? Yes, it is. Statue of Clementine and Winston Churchill at Chartwell below. The glorious setting of the house becomes apparent when seen from afar. And even though that's obviously a bit of a foggy day, they've made the most of it. They have managed to make quite a dramatic image. So Chartwell, what is this? Chartwell was a home and place that truly inspired Sir Winston Churchill. This house has been open to visitors for more than 50 years and is still much as it was when the family lived here. With pictures, books and personal mementos, the studio contains a large collection of Churchill's paintings and offers an insight into Churchill the painter. While the garden reflects Churchill's love of the landscape and nature, including the lakes he created, the woodland estate offers family walks, trails, den building, a Canadian camp and opportunity to stretch your legs. You know, given the amount of exercise he must have been getting through all the building he did, because he was also a dedicated bricklayer, it's surprising Churchill was so damn fat. But then he did like eating very large meals, drinking a colossal amount of brandy and smoking way too many cigars. So yeah, this gives you a very good idea. Oh, that is a beautiful picture. The east of England. Anglesey Abbey Gardens and Lord Mill, Cambridgeshire. Yeah, so that's the east of England rather than the northeast or the southeast. So that gives you a good idea of the various different locations that you can get to. So basically, if you've got a guidebook like this, you can basically do something. Ooh, sword fighting. Whether you fancy a day as a knight above or want to find out more, Rutherford Old Hall in Lancashire offers opportunities galore. Outside, stunning grounds and the garden left are a delight, whatever the season. And you can see quite a nice selection. They must have had some spectacularly good weather on all of these photos. They must have had an army of photographers and camped out in various different locations to get shots this good on days that good. But yeah, one of the things you could do if you want a random day out, grab a hold of a guidebook like this, just randomly leaf through, grab a page at random and just look at what we're supposed to be doing today. So I've poked my finger on this. The clock tower in Cornwall left and the sun below show the Gothic side of eccentric Castle Ward. So if that was what I was so inclined to do, I would be going here as of my next trip. So where is the Castle Ward? That's Stangford, Downpatrick, County Down, BT 37BA. Okay, so that's in Northern Ireland. Yeah, so I'd have to pay for a ferry or an airplane or something like that. But it looks quite beautiful. But I think if I was going to go there, I'd also want to go and check out all the other locations that they have as well. Make a real trip out of it, a proper full-on holiday, rather than just a random day trip. Because while it's not that far away, it's still a good journey just to get there. So that wouldn't really be a day trip. So yeah, I think what you'd have to do in that case is make sure you're in the right section for your area or the area you're going to be in, and then just randomly select something using the flawed method that I've just demonstrated. But yes, I'm quite happy with that. That's quite a nice book. It gives quite a bit of information, some beautiful photos. It's basically a perfect Island's Giant Causeway. It's basically a great way of seeing what's available and just making your mind up as to what you want to do.